My loving husband was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and to cope with the sorrow, I threw myself into my work. One day, a man claiming to be a lawyer approached me. "Your husband has submitted a request for $5 million in damages. Are you having an affair while he's sick in the hospital?" The man smugly presented photos claiming to be evidence of my infidelity, but I had no idea what he was talking about. "We've already gathered evidence proving that you're the woman who's too busy dating to care for her sick husband." I was taken aback by the man's arrogant words. What could this guy possibly know about me? Feeling as if he was challenging my entire life up until now, I decided to take the man to my home to show him the truth. Along the way, I didn't forget to give a secret signal to a middle-aged woman in the neighborhood as we passed by. My name is Melissa, and I'm 27 years old. I currently run multiple web media platforms and make a living from it. What should I do about this? Sitting in my living room, I mutter to myself as I stare at the computer screen filled with text. "Melissa, let's take a break." My husband Kevin comes out of the kitchen and hands me a steaming cup of warm coffee. "Thank you." I smile at my partner, who sits beside me as I accept the coffee. Kevin is not just my husband, he's also my work partner. I've always loved writing, so I started as a web writer during college. But I hit a wall after just a few months since I began without any experience. A friend told me, "I know someone else who's into web writing like you," and introduced me to a man. That man would later become my husband, Kevin. Kevin also loved writing, and he'd been a writer longer than I had. So he taught me various things, from writing skills to how to get work. Initially, we were just good work colleagues, but as we spent more time together, our relationship gradually turned sweet. Before we knew it, we became indispensable to each other, transitioning from good work colleagues to beloved partners. After graduating from college, we went into business independently as web writers, and together we started to run and operate web media platforms. As our work progressed smoothly, our relationship evolved from beloved partners to one-of-a-kind family. Now, as a married couple, we mostly work from home and are always together, both for work and in our private life. When I tell this to my friends, they're surprised and ask, "Don't you get tired of being together all the time?" But whether it's because we're on the same wavelength or something else, we actually find it quite comfortable. It's probably also thanks to Kevin's calm and gentle personality. I never doubted for a second that my life with my loving husband would continue forever. One day, prompted by a friend, we decided to go for cancer screenings. We often joked that we're both so healthy, sickness isn't even in the picture. But with a friend's relative getting diagnosed with cancer, we thought this was a good time to get checked. As it turned out, I was fine, but Kevin needed further testing. By this point, a sense of unease had already set in. Kevin kept saying, "I'm fine, nothing's going to be wrong." But I couldn't shake off my worry. Then the detailed test results came back. Kevin had cancer. Moreover, the doctor told us it was at an advanced stage because it was detected late. And I collapsed right there and then. Kevin had cancer? And it's advanced? We'd had yearly checkups and nothing had ever seemed off. Sure, he had some cold-like symptoms once in a while, but Kevin always said, "I can work from home," and never really went to the doctor. If only I had noticed something back then. If only I had forced him to go to the doctor. Regrets kept flooding my mind, but then the overwhelming fear that he's going to be gone hits me, and I can't think of anything else. Kevin was admitted to the hospital immediately, and I visited him every day during my work breaks. When I came to see him, Kevin always greeted me with his calm smile. He would even happily ask about the progress of our work that we both put so much effort into. Seeing his face made me think, I have to protect this job no matter what. And even as I wiped away tears, I kept working. But every time I let my guard down, the fear that Kevin might be gone consumed me. To distract myself from the sorrow, I took on a part-time job at a nearby supermarket in addition to our web media work. Days went by like this, and a little time passed. As usual, I visited Kevin in the hospital, finished my shift at the supermarket, and was on my way home. When I get home, I need to do the web work and also clean the house. As I was walking and planning out what to do next, suddenly the world in front of me starts spinning, and I sit down in a panic. What's happening? I feel sick. My vision continues to spin and cold sweat won't stop. Feeling helpless, I sit there and suddenly hear a surprised, "Huh?" A concerned person is hurriedly approaching. A gentle hand is placed on my slumped shoulder, and a kind voice asks, "Are you all right?" Looking up, I see an unfamiliar middle-aged woman looking at me with concern. I'm feeling a bit unwell, but I'll be okay. I mumble, trying to stand up despite my spinning vision. But the woman who catches me says, "Come this way." She almost drags me along to some place. We arrive at a familiar suburban house. Where is this? Gazing vaguely at the house, the woman says, "This is my home. Rest here for a while." She takes my hand and leads me inside. Despite it being our first meeting, her warm hand oddly comforts me, and I follow her in. We sit in the living room, sipping water, and then she encourages me to lie down on the sofa. Even as I close my eyes and take a deep breath, she wets a towel in cold water, wrings it out, and places it on my forehead. She also covers me with a blanket. A little while later, my vision stabilizes and my sweating stops. Slowly sitting up from the sofa, I face the concerned woman and ask, "Can I move now?" I say thank you and then add, "By the way, I realize I never introduced myself. Sorry about that." Upon hearing this, the woman smiles with relief and introduces herself as well. Her name appears to be Laura, and she lives here with her husband. I begin to say, "I also have a husband," but an image of Kevin lying in bed interrupts me. Noticing my hesitation, Laura says, "It's okay if it's hard to talk about it," and asks why I was sitting on the side of the road. Actually, my husband is sick. I slowly tell her about Kevin's illness, which I hadn't even shared with friends, and how I've been overexerting myself with work to distract from the sadness. Laura hugs me tightly as I choke up and finally shed tears, saying, "It's hard, isn't it?" She cries along with me. Later, I find out that Laura's house is very close to mine. What's more, our house is apparently known in the neighborhood as the wealthy couple's house due to its size. Chuckling to myself, I suddenly remember, when I used to walk around the neighborhood with Kevin, people would often strike up friendly conversations with us. It feels like things have become distant since Kevin got hospitalized. Laura tells me, "People thought you two had separated and didn't know how to approach you." Through meeting Laura, my day slowly started to change. I get to know the neighbors I'd previously avoided, and we start gathering at our houses for tea. And every time I struggle to watch Kevin's health deteriorate, Laura is always there to touch my hand and encourage me with her warm touch. Then one day, Kevin receives permission for a temporary return home, marking a long-awaited moment. A temporary return home. These words signal the last moments we'll get to spend with Kevin. I decided to make the most of this time and fill it with smiles. "So, Kevin, now that you're home, is there anything special you want to do?" First thing he says, "I'd like to see Laura." While Kevin was hospitalized, I had told him how Laura and the neighbors had been taking good care of me during my daily visits. To fulfill Kevin's wish, I let Laura know we'd be stopping by. On our way, a quick glance at Kevin revealed a certain resolve in his face as he stared straight ahead. We arrive at Laura's, who welcomes us with her ever-present warm smile. She takes Kevin's hand and says, "You really are loved." Her eyes meeting mine as she smiles. Feeling a bit embarrassed, I tell Kevin, "Well, you know." Our eyes meeting, his face a mix of laughter and tears. During a break in the conversation, as I'm about to head back to the living room from the restroom, I overhear Kevin's earnest voice from the other side of the door. I listen closely and realize he's talking about me. "Please look after Melissa when I'm gone." Hearing those words, I felt a stinging pain at the back of my nose and realized tears were falling. So that's why Kevin wanted to come here. Hearing Laura's gentle, "Of course," I couldn't stop my tears. Not much later, my husband Kevin drew his last breath. While I was prepared for it, the sense of loss hit me harder than I had imagined. Laura and our neighbors kept encouraging me during my grief. After some time had passed, a renewed sense of purpose pushed me to resume my career. I even continued my part-time job at the supermarket thinking, I need to keep moving forward. And life went on, just like that for about 2 years. As I finished my shift at the supermarket, stretching my tired body, a voice came from behind. "Excuse me." Startled, I turned around to see a serious-looking man wearing glasses. Did he lose his way? Without much thought, I asked, "Can I help you?" Clearing his throat, the man smiled softly and spoke. "I apologize for the sudden intrusion. I'm a lawyer. You're Melissa, correct? May I speak with you?" A lawyer? What could he possibly want with me? Though I was puzzled, I agreed to listen. "Sure. You see, your late husband Kevin has left you a settlement of $5 million. I was surprised when the man claiming to be a lawyer mentioned Kevin's name. Even more startling was the word compensation, almost causing me to drop the bag I was holding. What? No, there must be some mistake. "Ma'am, we have all the evidence. While your husband is in the hospital, you've been having an affair, haven't you?" The man, smirking, started to talk and pulled out his smartphone. He showed me a photo. What is this? The photo showed a man and a woman, arms linked, walking away from the camera. I must admit, the woman in the photo bears a slight resemblance to me, but it's definitely a case of mistaken identity. That's not me, and I don't know that man. Besides, my husband passed away 2 years ago. I laid out the facts and was about to walk away when the man suddenly raised his voice to stop me. "Lies about him being dead won't work. We already know you've been dating around while neglecting your sick husband." I was stunned. I remember the days when I was rushing to Kevin's hospital every day and working nonstop. What could this guy possibly know about me? I wondered, isn't it common sense for a real lawyer to offer a business card? And shouldn't he have notified me through documents or a phone call, rather than meeting me in person? I shook my tired head and stared at that man. He wasn't going to back down. Realizing we wouldn't reach a conclusion, I decided it would be quicker to just show him, "Please come this way." I invited the man into my home. In hindsight, it was a bold move, but I felt emotionally charged, like he was negating my entire life. As I walked home with the man, I crossed paths with Laura, who was holding a shopping bag. Laura looked surprised, but understood something when I raised my palm. She acknowledged and returned the gesture. I opened the front door and ushered the man inside. Clearly thinking he'd successfully manipulated me, the man enthusiastically said, "Let's discuss the paperwork inside." Ignoring him, I led the way to a certain room. "Please come in." It was a room with a memorial altar. Pictures of a smiling Kevin, back when he was healthy, were displayed on it. "Wait, he really is dead?" "My husband is no longer in this world, so your claim for compensation is simply impossible." Internally, I add, he would never have done such a thing even if he were alive. Noticing a man claiming to be a lawyer out of the corner of his eye, he mutters under his breath with a pale face, That's not what I heard. This can't be right. He then casually pulls out his mobile phone to check something. I subtly peek at the screen of the mobile phone from behind, and there I see a photo of a vibrant Kevin, taken before his battle with illness. What's the meaning of this? The fact that this man has a photo of my loved one unnerves me, and I speak in a low voice. The man starts talking hastily, as if making an excuse. According to him, he purchased information about me and Kevin, who were known as a wealthy couple in the neighborhood, from a man claiming to be an informant. His intention was to scam us. The information said, the husband of the wealthy couple is in the hospital. The wife is emotionally vulnerable. Moreover, the informant had tried to squeeze more money out of the man by feeding him a lie that your wife is cheating on you, even providing fake evidence photos to back up the claim. I had no idea he was dead. That guy tricked me. The irony of the scammer himself being scammed leaves me sighing in disbelief. Then the man who had been mumbling to himself stands up straight and looks at me with a creepy smile, saying, "Well, if I'm caught, I'm caught." A shiver runs down my spine, and I break into a cold sweat. Just as the man takes a step toward me, the sound of hurried footsteps comes from the entrance, and a moment later, several officers burst in shouting, "Police!" The tension I'd been unconsciously holding releases, and I collapsed on the spot. Thank God they made it in time. I think back to the moment when I crossed paths with Laura on the street a few minutes earlier. In reality, the hand I'd raised to Laura wasn't just a simple greeting. After Kevin's death, Laura taught me the SOS hand signal, simply a raised palm with a clenched thumb saying, "Even without words, you can say, 'Help me.'" Betting that the signal would get through, I used it. Probably understanding my SOS, Laura must have called the police. Staring at Kevin's photo on the altar, I silently apologize in my heart. I'm sorry for putting you in harm's way. In the photo, Kevin seems to be smiling as if to say, "It can't be helped." The arrested man, upon questioning, turns out to have committed multiple frauds before and will likely serve a fairly long prison sentence. I also heard that the notorious informant has been caught. A few days later, when I visited Laura's place with a thank you gift, she scolded me. "You shouldn't let a suspicious man into your house." Laura had noticed my SOS and was going to intervene, but decided it was better to let the police handle it. Then she gently taps me on the head, as if to imprint her words, "Kevin asked me to look out for you, so please don't do anything dangerous from now on." At those words, tears well up in my eyes. Ever since then, I've been living happy days, helped by Laura and the folks in the neighborhood. Today, I put my hands together in front of the photo of Kevin on the altar. Even in a world without you, there are plenty of people who help me. You can rest easy, I whisper to myself. When I gently open my eyes, there's a comforting smile that seems to watch over me. Smiling back, I say, "All right, let's get to work today," and stand up with enthusiasm.